Good morning, everyone. My name is Specialist Blake. Today I'll be giving an informative brief on military bearing and professionalism. Now, all information in this brief is unclassified. Now, before we go into the brief, I'd just like to do a quick risk assessment. Now, the overall risk assessment is low because we are in a classroom indoor environment. Just please be mindful of any tripping hazards, any cords that are not secured. Just keep your head on a swivel. Just be on the lookout for anything of that nature. We don't want anyone slipping, falling, and hurting themselves. Just ensure that you're hydrating, you're drinking enough water, that you do have a water source. With those water sources, please make sure that they are properly closed with the lids on them. We don't want any spillage and anyone slipping and hurting themselves as well. Now, before we go into our brief, I would like everyone to follow with the handouts that were given at the beginning of this class and ask as much questions as needed. I love everyone to be engaged. You just raise your hand, ask questions, and just follow along with the handouts. Now, looking at military bearing, we're going to be defining it using FM 6-22. And it says that military bearing is projecting a commanding presence, having a professional image of authority, showing a calmness under pressure, and having control over one's emotion. Now, military bearing, strong military bearing is very important to have as a leader. But we must also be aware that it not only means how we act while we're in uniform, but it's how our actions outside of uniform as well. Doing the right thing, especially when no one is looking, when you're not in your uniform, is very important when it comes to having military bearing. Military bearing constitutes having pride in yourself. So having pride in yourself starts with pride in your appearance, yes. However, when you're outside of uniform, you're amongst regular civilians, your actions sometimes can have a negative effect. So it's always important to show the correct actions and just practice having good military bearing while outside of uniform. Now, there are certain attributes that align with you as a leader having strong military bearing. There are three that are considerably important. The first one is physical fitness, the second is confidence, and the third is resiliency. So physical fitness, just to be simple, is just having, the ability, physical ability, the mental ability to be ready for any mission, anything that comes up. So you have to be within standard or above standard when it comes to your physical readiness. You have to be proficient in physical training, meeting all the Army standards for APFT. All of that comes into having strong physical fitness. Now, the next one, as it pertains to military bearing, is showing confidence. Now, being a good leader is being confident within yourself, and that shows in your actions as well. So how you carry out your tasks, how you deal with your subordinates, the proficiency that you show on a day-to-day basis, your assertiveness, having tact in whatever you do, that shows. It's important to have strong military bearing by showing and exuding confidence. We want leaders that have that commanding presence to be able to, show, a strong willingness within inside of them to be able to lead and to actually, show what it means as a leader to be proficient at all times. And the third one would be resiliency. Now, being resilient means being able to overcome. So part of military bearing is coming back from any setbacks that might occur. Not everything goes as according to plan at all times. There's always going to be a little shift, a little change in any circumstance, especially when you're carrying out a mission or a task. So it is important as leaders, when building strong military bearing, to have that toughness within them and to exemplify that as well, because as a leader, you are showing by example how it is that you are leading. And when you're confident and you're resilient, that on a whole shapes the image of how everyone looks at you. That includes your fellow leaders, whether it's your command, and of course, most importantly, in my view, your soldiers, your subordinates. Because by you exemplifying strong military bearing, you're showing them what it means to be a true leader, and that is most important. Now, as it pertains to professionalism, being professional as a leader is expected. It's expected in how we look and how we act. We have to be professional. To be professional, you have to be competent in your tasks, in your duties as a leader, as an NCO. You have to be proficient as well. You have to have a level of understanding of all your duties and how to go about doing them in a manner that is, befitting as a leader. So being professional is very important, as well as having a military bearing. So they both go hand in hand almost. So with the professionalism, there's some major attributes that come along with that as well. And basically, it's an attitude and a state of mind. It's how you think, how you carry yourself as well, that shapes you as a professional. Your actions while performing your tasks. Are you confident? Are you level-headed while carrying out your tasks? Are you focused? Do you show that while you show that you're soldiers while you're carrying out your tasks? That is important in being a professional, and showing that you do know what it is you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to go about doing it. So that pertains to your professionalism. The third one is being responsible and having accountability. Leaders, being professional means knowing what your duties are, who you're responsible for, and just being accountable for your actions, whether it's good or bad. We always have to keep that in mind when maintaining professionalism. That's very important. Now, as it pertains to military bearing and being a leader, why do we think it's important to have strong military bearing and to be a professional in order to be a better leader? Does anyone want to say? Does anyone want to chime in? Okay, so a leader's ability to maintain strong military bearing in any circumstance has a significant impact on soldiers. That being said, it really means that once you exemplify confidence, assertiveness, tact, pride in yourself, pride in your uniform, just your overall ability to overcome, once you're exuding all those attributes, it makes your fellow soldiers, which I think is more important, those that are going to precede you, it helps them to build a trust in you as their leader. And you want that because it helps to bring together a more cohesive unit. So that is very important as well. So when you can build that trust with your subordinates, it makes carrying out any mission more efficient. Any task is done more smoothly. You want to have them to have confidence in you just by just putting, basically their life on the line for you. And you want that as a leader. You want to show proper military bearing and professionalism at all times. It may not be easy, but if you continue to carry yourself in such a way with keeping in mind pride within yourself, just being proud of your uniform, your unit, and your country, and always exuding those attributes, it will only create a better image, a better outlook of not just your unit, but the military in a whole. So we have to be mindful of that as leaders. We want to shape the future. That is important as well. So we just lead by example. Whatever we say, whatever we do, just always maintaining a certain level of morals and ethics that all ties into having a military bearing and being a professional as well. Just always giving out a great impression at all times, in uniform, outside of uniform, for your fellow leaders and of course your soldiers as well. So we must always keep that in mind. So in concluding, military bearing and professionalism is very important. It's important as a leader to always show proper military bearing and be a professional at all times when carrying out your tasks. As I said before, we have to lead by example, and as we do that, we create and foster a better unit, a better military, a better army. Any questions at this time? Okay, this concludes my brief. Thank you.